Hey, Joe Gilder here. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the EP. We're diving into, once again, Frankie Barranco's EP, Still. This is song number 4. One of my favorites. I probably said that about every video on the EP. But this one was cool because of the transformation that it took over the process. A lot of the songs, they had them written. We recorded them. We occasionally maybe said, hey, let's add a chord here or let's double that part there. But for the most part, it was, this is great, let's record. And when you produce something, at least when I do, there's this part of me that feels like I need to make lots of changes in order to justify my existence. Does that make sense? Like, oh, we should change all this to make it different so that then I can feel like I had an impact on the song. And I feel like part of being a producer or even an engineer or anything creative is knowing when to leave something alone as much as knowing when to change it. So for most of the songs on this EP, we left them, at least structure-wise, alone because it just felt right. This one was one that just didn't quite feel right in the original form that we had it, and so it went through a lot of changes and different iterations, and it's kind of cool to show because these are the versions of the song you'll never hear, but it's kind of cool to talk about. And it emphasizes the importance of both planning and pre-production, but also being kind of light on your feet and ready to make changes. So the original song went like this. So here's the original scratch tracks and the intro for the song. I've been broken. Hang on one second. That was the worst thing ever. Hang on. Let me see. Hang on. Here's the original, I think. Yeah. I've been broken. Okay, no, here it is. I'm sorry. This will make a lot of sense in just a second. Give me 1 second to fix something. So what happened was we made a lot of changes to the song. One of them being we actually changed the key of the song. What is happening here? All right. I can't show it to you. But originally okay, I gotta fix this. This is gonna drive me nuts. Okay, here's the original. I've been broken. Okay, there we go. Since you left, the shattered pieces I thought would heal pierce through my chest. So very pretty, very high, and just very light, and it great. Nothing wrong with it, but the chorus just felt like it was missing something. Okay, so those are the scratch tracks. Those are the very first thing we recorded. That's actually what we recorded drums to. And we knew we didn't want it to sound quite so country. So the guitar is kind of going junka 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 junka, kind of a country sort of folky rhythm. We wanted it to be less that and more something else. We weren't quite sure what that is. So we took these tracks over to Tim Horsley's place and had him lay down drums. And it took us a while to hone in on what the groove was, but we finally found it, and it was this. So Tim played it really straight. The gut instinct when you hear that acoustic is to play like a train beat, and that takes it more in the country direction, which isn't really what we wanted. So Tim recorded drums, and then we got Joel in here and Spencer, or maybe it was just Joel, to come record bass. And we laid down a track of bass, and we still just felt like something just didn't feel right with the song. Like Frankie and Spencer were thinking about maybe just cutting the song from the album. It just didn't feel right. So we did a couple of things. First, we took it down a full step. So it was in F sharp. We took it down to E. And then the next thing we did was we changed the chord progression on the chorus from starting on the 1 to starting on the 6 minor. So in the key of E, the original chord progression would go, oh, I, and E, am not okay. It would just go E, A, and then it would go C sharp minor, B, A. And that was the progression. So it was all very major sounding. So I said, what if we, instead of the first chord being an E, because the whole verse is very major, it's just E and A and C sharp minor and B. What if we changed it to the opening chord as a C sharp minor? So the whole song feels more like a minor song, at least at the chorus, instead of major, because it's a sad song lyrically, and things just felt too happy with it being higher and with it being so major key-wise. So all those changes, if you can imagine, remember what this sounded like again. I'll play it for you. I mean, of course, she sounds amazing, even singing it that high, but it was losing the feel I think we wanted. So transition, kind of shake that out of your head, and here's the final version. I'll give it to you with just a guitar so you can hear that with her final vocal and hear the difference. So it's down a full step, and we've gone into a minor chord at the top of each phrase. Instead of going to the 1, we go to the 6.
So stop saying time can ever comfort me.
So here comes the minor instead of the major.
Oh, I am not okay, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Back to the minor.
Without this pain, how would I know that this broke?
And then here's the whole thing with the full band.
Oh, I am not okay, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Without this pain, how would I know that this broken world was never meant to be my home?
So changing that key, the key and going to that minor felt, even just, we were sitting in this room, I had my guitar out, I said, what if we went to here and we sang it, we said, that feels more right. So we had Joel re-record the bass part, a step down, and because the great thing about drums is we don't need to re-record them, thank goodness. But we had him re-record his bass part, a step down, and going to that 6 minor at the top of the chorus instead of the 1, and that felt so much better. So then Spencer went home and he worked on some guitar parts and came up with this great hook that just worked so well, and we kind of built the rest of the production around this right here. We built it around this this part right here. So that was kind of that happens in the intro. Like the intro to this song feels so good to me. So we recorded his part and then I had him double it an octave down, and then I doubled it on a Rhodes. So we're saying, okay, that's kind of our hook. We're gonna play that between turns. And it just felt really good. And then along with just some nice, clean, just diamond guitars, just holding out chords. I mean, that with the bass and the drums, and then these 3 acoustics that are playing along, it just started to come together. Acoustics drive it a little bit, and drums and bass, and then the electrics can just hold out, and then you've got this cool kind of lead part going on. It just ended up being, it went from being a song where we were all kind of scratching our heads saying, okay, how are we going to love this song, to being one of the most thoughtful songs, I think, on the EP. Like the parts that Spencer came up with were huge, very thoughtful and very musical. And then it kind of cued me and gave me ideas to kind of produce the rest around it, which is really fun. What was also fun about this song is we added violin. So we have a friend, Halloran Hill, who came into the studio one night, and we laid down a bunch of violin parts. And so you can hear them on the full EP, but my favorite part is here on this instrumental section. We first just have him layer just some parts. So kind of almost boring to record those by themselves, but in context with everything else, in addition to his lead part. So we had him play just not... The thing about violin is that you can easily go too far and have them play too much. So during that instrumental section, we had him kind of just play gently for the first half. So we had some cool background vocal things happening, and then we let him loose on the second half of the instrumental. And he plays this beautiful melodic thing, and then he ends on this beautiful high note that just holds out and kind of cries as we go to a down chorus, and it's just gorgeous. So instead of playing all that individually for you, let me just hit play so you can hear that. So this is the instrumental after the second chorus. We go through violins just playing kind of a pad sort of thing, and then her vocals doing kind of a cool background vocal thing that we came up with. And then the second half is the violin solo, which just sounds so cool. So here we go. Forget how much I love this song. It's just so good. So continuing through the progression of how this song, it just, once we got the bones right, it just almost produced itself. Reverse piano, if you need a transition point that has some drama to it, do this. Play a piano note in the low octave and then just reverse it. And add a bunch of reverb to it. It added so much to this one section. Without this pain. So once we got to, we didn't have violin yet, so rewind to when we just had drums and guitars and bass, and drums, guitars, and bass. Then I had Spencer play this kind of melodic thing for this last chorus, which I think is this track. So it plays to that dissonance of that 6 minor chord. So in this key, what is that? C sharp minor. So he starts by playing, what is that? C sharp minor. Playing a D sharp, which is like the 9 of the minor chord. So it starts off dissonant and then kind of does a melodic thing from there. So that guitar part against these acoustics sounds kind of dissonant but kind of cool. So then we said, when Halloran was here doing violin, we said, you absolutely should double that part that Spencer's playing. So we had him record that along with him, which added so much to it. So just a beautiful, beautiful part with everything else you can hear. It doesn't stand out a whole lot, but it was kind of the theme of that final part of the song, just this extra riff that we came in with at the end. So there's just lots of stuff happening, lots of energy. Just comes across to me very interesting. Without this pain, how would I know that this broken world was never meant to be my home? And then I told Halloran, hold that last note as long as you want. I'll fade that junk out. Oh, it's perfect. You just being able to do a nice long slow fade with a violin just slowly holding that vibrato out. Oh, so good, so good. If listening to these songs hasn't sold you on this EP yet, maybe this one does. Links below. Go download this EP or listen to it in Spotify. Listen to it a million times, or go buy it on iTunes or wherever else you want to find it. And be sure to follow Frankie Barranco. And even go to frankiebarranco.com. I believe there's a place to sign up to get more updates. Just such good music, and I imagine there will be much more music in the future. So thanks for watching. In the next episode, we'll dive into the final song, which is so interesting and just a very different type of song. It's called The Chorus. So make sure you stick around for that episode. And me and Nash are saying bye. Say bye, Nash. See ya.